Hi, everybody. Well, there are some places on this planet that I think having a balcony is pretty much a must do. One for me is Alaska. You would love to have a balcony going through the mountainside, looking for whales outside. A lot of fun. Norway, going through the fjords, looking for possibly seeing the northern lights, right? Absolutely. And another destination might be the Panama Canal. Well, how would you like to have spent extra money to make sure you had a unobstructed balcony on a Panama Canal cruise, only to arrive and get, yeah, a pretty big shock? So a woman was reporting that she booked a ocean view balcony, unobstructed, because she wanted to experience the Panama Canal. She wanted to be able to walk out and watch the Panama Canal and the trains going by and see the history out there and watch the shore go by. Sounds logical to me. She booked an 11-day cruise from Florida to the West Coast on the NCL Jade, which is a smaller, older ship by Norwegian Cruise Line. And that could be one of the issues that popped up and the reasoning that she ended up with something blocking her view. She arrived in her cabin only to find a note that said that a mechanical apparatus had to be attached and moved to her balcony. Well, this mechanical apparatus turned out to be like the stand that you can put a cruiser on, like a maintenance worker, and they can attach it to different areas of the ship and stand on it to do repairs and painting and all that kind of thing. So it's a big, huge thing. And it was smack dab in the middle of her balcony, making what essentially is now an obstructed view balcony, and one of the worst obstructed view balconies. Some obstructed balconies out there, remember, will have, instead of having a glass railing, will have like a metal railing. Well, they consider that an obstructed view. Or you can look down and just see the top of the tender below you. They'll consider that an obstructed view in many cases. However, this one is now right there on her balcony. And so it's going to be sitting there for about 8 days of her 11-day cruise. Not a fun situation. So she went down to customer service and she says, well, they basically said, too bad, so sad. But that's not really the case. That's not really the case. What she had demanded was the difference between an obstructed balcony cost and an unobstructed balcony cost. Now, I'm not sure what the cost of the cruise when she booked it would have been, right? And the cruise line, people like customer services wouldn't know what the sales prices of something she booked a year and a half ago were. They would only know current prices, and current prices can be way out of whack, when you're booking, depending on which cabins have more availability. I've seen an ocean view cabin going for $2,000 more than a balcony cabin because there was only one left on the ship. So the prices tend to go up. That's how pricing works, right? The less availability, the more the price goes up. So we're not sure what the difference would be, but they had offered her a $500 onboard credit. Okay. I don't know if the difference between an obstructed and non-obstructed in a lot of cases is more than $500. I think sometimes it's pretty darn close. But she insisted, but she accepted the $500. Now here's the problem. Once you accept the $500, that's kind of the cruise line saying, well, we kind of consider the matter closed. You accepted our offer, etc. If you don't want to take that offer, you refuse the $500, then you have to fight it out after the cruise with the cruise line. You have to show proof of what an obstructed balcony would be, an unobstructed balcony would be, why your balcony turned into an obstructed balcony for most of your cruise. And remember, if it's say 8 days on an 11-day cruise, that's 3 days it's not. So they're going to prorate that, right? It's not, they'll work whatever they can to give out the least amount of money possible. And that's every business in the world. No business wants to give you more money at any time. they want to give you less money for any reason whatsoever, right? Refunds, your car's not working, your accident. I mean, let's face it, you don't go into a car dealership and just pay sticker price. You negotiate. Well, it's reversed the other way. They negotiate with you on the cruise lines as well. They offered her $500. She took it. They consider it closed. Going to them after the fact is hard. But if you don't accept that $500, you may get nothing in the future. They don't have to refund you the money. They can make the statement simply as, something occurred. It was a necessity because we're going through the Panama Canal. These machines have to be off the lower area. We have no other choice but to place it on an upper deck of the cruise ship so it will fit through the Panama Canal. It's a safety reason, it's a regulation, etc. And that's why we had to do it. And, the cruise line, in their wording on all their contracts that we all sign when we're agreeing to cruise, it can basically say that as well. And quite frankly, we're kind of out of luck. Whatever they say kind of goes. But I'm not saying Norwegian really did anything wrong here. And they were wondering, why couldn't, Norwegian have made this cabin? They must know it's going to have that apparatus on it. This isn't the first time they've ever gone through the Panama Canal. They must know that they're going to attach that to the balcony at some point. Why wasn't it sold as an obstructed balcony? It's really hard to change an entire website for one particular ship on certain sailings only for one particular cabin to make it a different, category. Programming doesn't necessarily work that way. When they make a program change, it's usually a mass change. The entire ship's itinerary changed. Or, during COVID, when they had to block off entire decks, they would say, okay, deck 9 is completely off limits. Boom. They can do that. But individual cabins on individual sailings doesn't happen very often. Very hard to do. And quite frankly, they probably wouldn't go through the hassle of doing and paying a programmer to do it. Is it right? Is it wrong? At business sense, you can see why it makes sense. But yeah, I know the frustration it would be, right? You booked this cabin particularly because you wanted to have the views of the Panama Canal. And then you got there and you had this big machine thing standing in front of your balcony every time you went out. And it just kind of gnaws at you that every time you go out, there it is. And you have to look around it to see anything. I can see the frustration. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. And especially when you took that $500, you kind of told them, I accept the decision. Thanks for the money.